morning. I've long been inspired and challenged by Martin Luther King Jr., his writings, his teaching, and the work he did. I particularly am challenged by his use of the notion of love. He speaks to his followers, or those in the civil rights movement, says, we love all people, and that includes our enemies, those who do harm to us, evil to us. We don't agree or like the evil they do, and we stand and resist it non-violently, but we don't hate them as people. And then in that great speech, I Have a Dream, there's that one little bit that always gets me, where he says, I have a dream that one day my children will sit down at the table with white children and share a same meal. That my 4 children will not be judged by the colour of their skin, but by the content and quality of their character. And there's so much in that challenges and confronts me. In the society in which I'm formed and the culture in which I'm formed, where there are divisions of right and wrong, in and out, good and bad, where rules, unwritten rules, sometimes spoken and many times unspoken, help determine who is okay and who is not. And we have these barriers that we build, and we like to create contained communities that are safe and controlled and like us, and follow the same rules that we follow. Different times I've been invited into Parkley Prison when chaplains have special events or commencing or concluding their time there. And inevitably there's a service that welcomes friends and families of the chaplain and other chaplains and staff from the prison, some support staff, some prison guards, some of the hierarchy who come to pay tribute to the chaplains. But there's always a group of prisoners as well included. Specially selected prisoners. It's minimum security part of the prison that we're in. These are on their best behaviour and probably there for very minor crimes. At the end of the service, there's usually food, and we mingle over food and drink. And inevitably, I chat with a couple of the prisoners who are dressed in their bright green clothes, green shirts and trousers and jackets, this bright green that stands out. And that's for security and safety reasons. It's very clear. And so when they come up to me, it's very clear they're prisoners and I'm not. And in the back of my mind is, these are prisoners. What have they done wrong? What are their crimes? They're prisoners, I'm not. And you've got to push that back. And as I engage in the conversation and listen, the deeper we go, the more I realise these are human beings. Usually young blokes who have made mistakes, bad choices. They're paying the price, the cost of their mistakes in prison, in jail time. They speak of the families outside, and partners and children, parents, siblings. They speak of their hopes and dreams of getting out and getting on with their life in a good way. These are people who are broken in this moment and need a chance, need love, grace. These are beloved of God. I know there's people in that prison who are really violent and difficult criminals who have done really serious and bad things. And I know there's other rules in the prison, and it's not a very easy or safe place in parts. It's a difficult place. But each person in there has a story. A story I may or may not want to hear. A story that may or may not explain something of who they are and why they're there and why they've done what they've done. There are all sorts of reasons, not to excuse them, but to recognise that they're people too, whatever that means for us. In so many ways, these labels, like those green clothes that prisoners wear, mark people out as different. And we treat people as different. Those who come desperate for a new start in life, asylum seekers seeking asylum, a safe place in this land by boat, are given the term boat people. and looked down upon and locked away and thrown across the oceans in camps in other overseas places, or in our own detention centres, treated as criminals, suspicious. Yet others come and overstay visas, and we don't have the same regard for them. We look at people whose clothing is different, or religious faith, or politics, or age, or gender, or colour of their skin, their language, their sexual orientation or expression, their ability or disability, their status or lack thereof, their wealth or impoverishment, their education levels, their ability or disability, their mental capacity. Look, we look at people in all sorts of ways and put them into categories, and often exclude and divide and judge. This week in Matthew's story, we're led into this place where Jesus is confronted by a person who is different. Prior to that, there's this conversation with his disciples. The religious leaders have accused him and his disciples of defiling the laws, of being unclean. The Jewish laws, religious laws, had codes of ethics of what is right and wrong, purity laws of foods that made you either clean, good to eat, or made you unclean if you eat them. You shouldn't eat those things, or things that you should or shouldn't do, behaviours or place. There were a whole lot of rules that made people clean or unclean, right with God or out of God's grace. And Jesus was accused of not observing these laws and being unclean. And he says to the crowd, it's not what goes into you that makes you unclean, not these foods. It's what comes out. It's what comes out of your mouth or your actions. Because what comes out comes from here, your being. It reveals something of who you are. So it's not what you take in so much as what comes out that reveals something of who you are. And whether you're clean or unclean. Whether you're living well or not, whether what you've done is good or not good. And he goes on to retreat into a place up in northern area, in more that Gentile area. And a woman comes up to him, and Matthew describes her as a Canaanite woman, which reveals kind of the old hatreds and enmities between different cultures. Here's Jewish culture and the cultures of the world around. She's a Canaanite. Bad. She comes and asks him, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter's sick. And Jesus, really bad, I think, response says, I came to look after the lost sheep of Israel. It's not right to give the children's bread to the dogs. He's called her a dog, a derogatory term. I'm not here for you. I'm here for these. I would have walked away. But this woman's made of better stuff. Maybe it's because she's desperate, and in a desperation, she throws herself at his feet and begs mercy and says, yes, Master, but even the dogs get to eat the crumbs and the scraps from the children's table. Give me some of the crumbs and scraps. I don't want their food. I want some of what's left over for my daughter who's sick. And in this moment, Jesus' own kind of cultural racism and judging is exposed. And he changes and says, woman, go. Your faith is strong, and your daughter is well. In that moment, Jesus leads us not into a way of culture and supposition around what's right and wrong, in the way of the world, but he leans into the way of God. The way of God is to welcome everyone, to see everyone as a human being, and to welcome everyone into grace and love and peace and hope and life. And that is the trajectory of Matthew's gospel and Jesus' ministry as told and shared by Matthew's story. Taking this gospel out into the world. That God's good news of love and grace is for everyone. And there are no barriers that can stop us loving another, or should stop us. That we are to dismantle barriers, those judgments we have of people who are different, and to stop and to take time to listen, to engage, to be in relationship with another person, to listen to their story, to take them seriously, and invite them into love and grace, to share what we have and know and experience of this God who receives us and loves all of us. Share that with others and to offer that love to those we meet. It's a confronting story, and it challenges me as I hear the stories in the news and the way in which we position people as right or wrong or in or out, suspicious or okay. Jesus invites us to break those barriers open and see people as people and give everyone an opportunity at life to share what we have in this world, to be people of reconciliation, to be people of peace, of hope and love. This is the way of Jesus, challenging, difficult, but the only way that's going to make this world a better place.